The other day, a popular YouTuber stated that Canada and the US had similar gun laws. No, they don't. Stormy Daniels has been interviewed by 60 Minutes and she has discussed her tryst with Trump. But who really cares? Ontario's Liberal Premier Kathleen Wynne has unveiled a key election plank, and it's a doozy. Hello everybody, Steve Britton here with another edition of the Speaking Freely podcast. Those of you watching on YouTube, it's really good to see you here. And for those of you listening in on the other platforms, well, hello to you as well. And well, I've got nothing really poignant and interesting to say at this point, so why don't we just dive right in and get started. Canada and the US share the world's longest undefended border. For most of the border, there isn't even a fence, just a 20-foot wide empty space where the trees have been cut back to indicate to anyone approaching that they're at the border. And if they keep going, they could be facing some rather substantial fines. Not only does this slash denote a divide between two countries, but it also denotes a divide between two very different cultures, especially in relation to firearms. To the south, there is a constitutional amendment regarding keeping and bearing arms, while to the north, guns are far more restricted. Last Sunday, popular YouTuber Sargon Avocad stated that on a live stream that Canada and the US have very similar gun laws, but Canada has a far lower gun-related crime rate than the US. Sargon is a very intelligent man, and he's very well-spoken. I respect him a lot, and as well, I think that you should all head over to his channel and subscribe. But this time, he was wrong. So let's have a look at the difference between the laws of Canada and the laws of the US in terms of firearms. Now first, Canada's gun law is a federal thing rather than provincial. It doesn't matter what province you're in, the gun laws are the same. Now I agree with this approach because it avoids confusion and mistakes when you're crossing from one province into another. In the US, gun laws will vary from state to state. Canada's firearms laws divide weapons into three categories: prohibited, restricted, and non-restricted. Most handguns in Canada are restricted, and any handgun that isn't restricted is prohibited. Also in Canada, many accessories that may be legal in the US are banned completely. Bump stocks and suppressors, or if you prefer to annoy gun owners, silencers, are illegal in Canada. In the US, some states permit either or both. Open carry of firearms in Canada is strictly illegal without a special permit. It's called an authorization to carry, and to get the permit, you have to demonstrate that you need it for your job or for the protection of your life or the lives of others. If you're a firearms enthusiast, don't even bother applying because you won't be issued this permit. In the US, openly carrying a handgun is permitted in 31 states, and you can openly carry a long gun in all but 7 states. In Canada, you can carry a long gun pretty much anywhere, so long as it's unloaded and you only load it when it's legal to shoot. It would, though, be pretty stupid to carry a shotgun down a major city street, since you'd attract all kinds of attention that you probably don't want. Now, I couldn't find any details about the requirements for a firearms license in the states that require a license, but it looked to me like there was little or no actual training. There were background checks and such, sure, but it is entirely up to the licensed individual to ensure they know what they're doing when it comes to operating that firearm safely. That's from what I can tell. If there's an American out there who has more information, please leave a comment. Let me know what the training requirements are in the state. I'd love to find out, because it's something that I wasn't able to find. And since it's different in every state anyway, it becomes a little confusing. In Canada, there are 2 levels of licensing: the possession and acquisition license and the possession and acquisition license for restricted firearms. Both involve mandatory classroom safety training and to successfully pass a test. Then there's a 28-day waiting period, and then, if you want the restricted firearms license, you must prove that you're a member of an approved club or shooting range, since you're only allowed to have a restricted license if you own it for the purposes of target practice or competition. All restricted firearms are registered weapons in Canada, which isn't the case in the US. So as you can see, gun laws are extremely different in Canada and the US. Do the tighter gun laws in Canada directly lead to our lower gun crime rate? I'm not convinced personally. I think it has more to do with our population being 1/10 of that of the United States, and quite frankly, but it's something that we could have a conversation about. Now, what I do know is this. Australia went through a major gun law reform recently. They did a huge buyback of firearms, and it made no measurable difference to the amount of gun-related crime in that country. So I doubt very much that tighter gun control laws and firearms confiscation will accomplish very much either, regardless of where such a program is implemented. Now, after the break, I'll pivot from guns to porn stars. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Programs like this take a lot of time and effort to put together, and I hope that my work, which I of course love doing, brings value to you. Now, if that's the case, and of course if you're able, please consider becoming a subscriber or a sponsor of this show. It's never expected, but it is most certainly always appreciated. To become a subscriber or supporter of the show, whether it's a one-time donation or a monthly sponsorship, head on over to makersupport.com/scbritain. There you can subscribe or donate in support of this program. Every little bit helps improve the show through new and updated equipment, researchers, better studio space, and so on. So please give it some thought, and at the very least, like this video and subscribe to my channel here. And that will help promote my channel and the program to others. Thanks. Last Sunday, Anderson Cooper's interview with porn star Stormy Daniels aired on 60 Minutes. In this interview, she detailed her tryst with Donald Trump back in 2006. According to Stormy, it was at a celebrity golf tournament in Lake Tahoe. I won't bore you with the details of the actual event that happened, or she says happened, because they really aren't that interesting. Now, what is interesting, though, is her account of how some thug approached her in Las Vegas and threatened her, and that she agreed to a $130,000 payout to keep quiet a week and a half before the 2016 election, and since has signed a statement denying anything happened between herself and Trump. But now she has changed her story and says that she was lying when she denied the event. That right there hits her credibility quite hard. But then I ask myself, if nothing happened, why did Trump's lawyer pay her $130,000 of his own money for her to keep quiet? But then again, nobody really knows what she said to the Trump campaign beforehand, nor does anyone know if they really did have sex in his hotel room, because it comes down to, at this point at least, her word against his, and frankly, neither has a very good track record in that department. Her prior lies call her credibility into question, while Trump most definitely does have a reputation for being a bit of a womanizing lech. The amusing part in all this is that nobody seems to care. A porn star claims to have banged a billionaire. Whoopee. Several critics have compared this alleged affair to the Monica Lewinsky scandal, so let's examine it from this angle and see what we come up with. As an aside, I'm sure we can find a mountain of double entendres to play with regarding this story, but I'll try to restrain myself. First, Monica Lewinsky was no porn star. She was an intern in the Bill Clinton White House who, as husband to de facto President Hillary, used his position as de jure president to woo Lewinsky with his position of power. She serviced him in the Oval Office. Okay, so we have a clear-cut case of abuse of power. Granted, but technically a relationship between consenting adults, even when one is married to someone else, is not illegal. Bill Clinton was not likely to get thrown out of office for a case of sexual harassment. For an offense like that, censure by Congress would probably be the most severe outcome, with the most likely outcome being his having to pay her some huge damages. In my view, Bill Clinton got himself into trouble because he lied under oath. He denied a sexual relationship with Monica Lewinsky and then used semantic legal trickery to try and get himself out of it, including an attempt to weasel his way around the definition of the word is. Applying the reasonable person test to Clinton's comment, we see that a reasonable person would understand that an answer of "there is nothing going on" to mean there is nothing going on, nor has anything happened, particularly in the terms of a relationship between two people. Clinton tried to argue a more precise definition by stating is a present tense word, which means there is nothing going on at the present. It's a very technical and tight semantic argument, but not one that a reasonable person would conclude based on the question that was asked. Clinton was deliberately deceptive and got caught in a case of perjury, and his acquittal in the Senate happened simply because the Democrats, at the time, commanded enough votes to ensure that he would remain in office. Trump, however, has, through his lawyer, denied anything happened. If he ended up forced to testify, which, since he is President of the United States, is unlikely, and then if he got caught lying, then he would have a case of perjury, and Trump would be facing impeachment proceedings, a possible trial and conviction by the Senate, and become the first president to be removed from office. This is all highly unlikely, of course, given the partisan atmosphere of the U.S. Capitol, and I highly doubt the American public would put up with it either, given the way the media in the U.S. is desperately looking for something, anything, to undermine Trump's presidency and have him removed. To me, it looks like Trump is legally immune from this case. The person who is most likely to be on a legal hook is Michael Cohen, Trump's lawyer, who, by paying Stormy Daniels $130,000 out of his own pocket to keep quiet, may, and I stress the word may, have violated U.S. election finance laws. The lawyers will be arguing that in court for months to come, and I'm sure the U.S. news media will do whatever they can to ensure that this salacious tale stays on the front pages for as long as they can get away with it. Because, as we all know, sex sells. And when a politician is involved, it can kill careers too. That is, of course, assuming anyone really cares about Trump's sex life, or trust the media to say something vaguely resembling the truth at this point. All right, after the break, we'll talk about Ontario Premier Kathleen Wynne and her platform plank regarding preschool care. Stick around, and I'll be right back. After this last segment, I think I need a shower. Ugh. Before we continue, I just want to send a quick shout out to my friends over at Goalscape. Now, if you're anything like me, you find yourself looking at the squirrels rather than getting your work done. This can, of course, be a real problem for people who, like me, get distracted very easily, since focus and staying on task is a real key to success in life. Goalscape can help you with this. I've started using it, and I'm finding it very useful in both keeping myself focused, but also in breaking down the big projects into smaller steps to ensure that the job gets done, both successfully and as well on time. It's free to get started, and there's some downloadable software with a 14-day free trial period, which gives you the chance to determine if Goalscape is for you. So when you head over to Goalscape, make sure that you let them know that I've sent you, and you can do that by using the link here, stephenbritton.net/recommend/Goalscape. I've put that link into the description to this video, which will make it nice and convenient for you. So give Goalscape a try. Ontario Premier Kathleen Wynne has unveiled the province's 2018 budget, and since it's an election budget, there's a doozy of a platform plank in it. The cornerstone of our 2018 election platform is free childcare for all kids from the age of 2.5 and up. Now, not only is this going to cost so much money that it's so stupid, it's ridiculous, but it's also incredibly frightening. We're dealing with a socialist, activist government which has already revamped that province's sex education program, much to the disgust of the parents of the province. By offering free childcare to all kids at a very young age, and then by taxing the middle and upper classes to pay for it, and we all know that the money is going to have to come from somewhere, the government is therefore effectively forcing children into government-sponsored and government-funded childcare, which means that state-run daycare programs will be raising more of Ontario's children from a much younger age and instilling through approved government values in children and through modeling and discipline, many of which may be quite different and unacceptable to the parents who are forced to put their children into these programs to begin with. Well, that is, of course, the philosophy of the Liberal Party as a whole, though both federally and provincially. It's not about providing the necessary services to the population at large, but it's about building and crafting a society in their image. They're waging a culture war in a long-term game by getting our kids at younger and younger ages and instilling our kids with the values that the government, the Liberals, want them to hold. We've seen this happen before too. Ontario hasn't taken it to the extreme naturally. But how long before kids are so indoctrinated into the government-approved system that the government will set up reporting programs where children can report their own parents for expressing ideas and values that are contrary to the government's way of thinking? It isn't even at the obvious level either. This is a form of insidious, creeping authoritarianism, which is becoming more and more entrenched in the minds of our kids. Where do you think Antifa came from? That group of domestic terrorists didn't appear overnight, you know. They're the result of years of quiet indoctrination and ideological programming of the minds of the nation's young people. Kathleen Wynne is the worst premier Ontario has ever seen, and she is the most dangerous woman in Ontario right now. Justin Trudeau is, federally, the worst prime minister that Canada has ever seen, and he is the most dangerous man in Canada right now. Both Kathleen and Justin need to be stopped, and as soon as possible. In Ontario, that means this coming spring. In Canada, that's next year. I only hope we're not too late. I'm Steve Britton.